You are listening to the Marc Guzman Podcast Experience. Before we get started, just a reminder that you can find all of my available rental properties on my website at marcguzman.com. If you own investment property, click on the Owner Services section to see our complete list of services. Today's episode and tasting is sponsored by East Brother Beer. Located on Canal Boulevard in Point Richmond, East Brother Beer aims to provide the best beers brewed to create a classic style of beer with a touch of modern sensibility. Film is one of the best ways to tell a story. For Miranda Gianti, her upcoming film Greasemonkey tells a story that is not just personal to her, but relatable to many others. She stars as Mara, a woman thrust into the male-dominated world of auto mechanics. This podcast is all about sharing the stories of people here in the Bay Area. And today we talk to Miranda about how Greasemonkey captures not just her story, but the story of women everywhere. Yeah, so it's interesting to see people's habits in, like, they want to do a podcasting, but to commit, and I tell people, just start off with one episode per week. Even if it's 20, 30 minutes, just do it. Once you get into that habit, it becomes much easier. So for me, when I decided to do the podcast, I was busy managing about 300 units at the time. And I was like, I don't have time to do the entire thing. So that's when I put an ad out, and that's when Sam and I ended up connecting, and he became the producer of the show.
How long have you been here, Sam?
Since the beginning.
Oh, since the very beginning.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Since, last July.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it was something where, because in marketing, it's all about consistency, right?
Yes.
And so it was something where I'm like, I don't want to do one episode a day. One episode per week. I want to do something where we're doing 2 or 3 episodes per week to really get content out there. And so that's what we started to do. And so we've been doing that since day one, about 3 episodes per week. For 2 weeks in November, December, we did 1 episode per day, which was kind of fun to do. Yeah, but that becomes very difficult because then you're dealing with a variety of guests, scheduling, and that is a whole different thing in itself. So now we're going to go back to posting something per day, but it's going to be a little bit different in that we're going to still be recording 3 times per week, but then we're going to, because the podcasts tend to be 40, 50 minutes long or even an hour, we can extract some of that audio and then use that audio for other days when we're not recording and posting.
Great.
Yeah. So basically recycling the podcast that we do.
Okay.
So that's...
Are you still as in love with it as you were when you first started?
Yeah, I've actually grown to like it way better. I like doing the podcast was completely out of my element. It was something I was very nervous, uncomfortable with. It was something I was like, I think I just have to do it. Because you really psych out yourself when you haven't done something like podcasting or film. You psych yourself out, especially going into the first time doing it, right? Once we had a few episodes in, it became a lot more comfortable. So it's funny to go back to like episodes 1 through 10, listen to those episodes, and then compare those episodes to the most recent episodes. There's a gradual improvement that happens over time.
I'm sure.
And the biggest benefit out of it is really that I've been able to once you get behind a mic, communication happens very differently than off a mic. And you're able to then, and I think you become much better on a mic because you're putting a little bit more pressure on yourself. And that then translates to off the mic and better communication with clients.
I bet you're right, yeah.
So it's very interesting how it's really progressed for me. So I really enjoy it. It's a great hobby, and it helps with the marketing. There's been people that have found my podcast and then found out that I was a realtor, and then they hire me to sell their house or manage their rental.
And there it is.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
It works, and it's different. Not many people are doing podcasting these days, And in the real estate industry, very, very few people are doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's a big opportunity, and especially the number of episodes. Each episode is another at bat, and that's why we want to put out as much content out there.
I think it's really smart.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
It is. It is. So did you try the beer yet?
No, I was waiting for you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for having me. Cheers, Sam.
So this is our sponsor, East Brother Beer Company. They're out of Point Richmond. Have you ever been there to the spot?
Have I been to Point Richmond or have I been to them?
East Brother.
I have not. This is the first time I've heard about it, but...
Well, you know where Point Richmond is, right?
Yes, I do. My friend, Ray, has a shop there, Butch's Antiques and Collectibles.
Okay.
And they've got a little library there
Okay.
as well. Yeah, I
Very
know
cool.
Point Richmond, but I've spent the summer trying local beers, and here's a new one.
Yeah, they're hidden on Canal Boulevard. So there's like some office space, warehouses, and they're tucked in the very back of the end of the warehouse strip.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a great location. They've been adding different features like ping pong tables, pool tables, darts. They've got a cool bar. They do parties. They have food trucks that show up.
Okay,
And their
I have
beer is
to go
really
now.
good.
I've got to go.
Yeah, the one beer that I wish they could send us, and I'm kind of hinting to Rob and Chris to send us the Maybach beer. That beer is so good. That's got to be one of the best beers I've ever tried. It's really, really good. So shout out to East Brother Beer for sponsoring the show. So let's get started with your episode here, and I'm excited for this. But the one thing I like to ask many of my guests is, what has your attention right now? What's got your attention? It could be a movie, a book, it could be social media, anything.
I had the bright idea to do a fundraiser for Car Fire Animal Relief. I love animals, and a couple of years ago I wrote a play called St. Francis about a Northern California woman who runs a no-kill shelter who's at war with the town. They want to kick her out and put in a Starbucks. And it did really well in New York. It got published. People loved it. And this coming Saturday is something called Clear the Shelters Day. Across the country, shelters waive adoption fees, spay-neuter fees, vaccination fees in an attempt to find every single animal within the shelter a home.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought...
So this Saturday, August 18th.
This Saturday, August 18th, it's across the country. So if you want a dog, go to a shelter. And I thought, you know, with Greasemonkey coming up and this article just coming out, I want to capitalize on the growing interest of this. So why don't I do a reading and also do it for a cause so it's not completely self-serving, which
Yeah.
it totally is. So right now what has my focus is putting on the staged reading in Berkeley and in Pinole this coming Sunday, and getting an audience. So rewrites of my play. And we just had a brand new short film that I made with the guy who's directing Greasemonkey become available yesterday.
You're very busy.
I don't know what I would do with myself otherwise. Drink a lot of beer.
Drink a lot of beer.
Drink a
yeah.
lot of beer. A lot
Yeah.
of local beer.
Isn't it funny when you find your passion and you're so consumed by it that even if things are going great, but the tiniest little break of gap in between, you feel like you're lost, right?
Completely at sea. I came here for a job contract. I just finished as the production manager for the Bay Area Playwrights Festival. I was in New York, and one of my plays was picked for the Capitol Fringe Fest in D.C., and another one was picked for the Last Frontier Theater Conference in Alaska, which is a really big deal. I'm like, are you sure? And then the opportunity to come and work in my hometown came along, and I thought, a summer in Pinole, I would be an idiot if I passed this up. And it's been balls to the wall, like 65 to 70-hour work weeks in the city. It's the hardest I've ever worked. And then it ended last week. And I thought, I can't do nothing. Most people would sleep and relax, but if I don't have anything to do, I feel very, very lost. I feel like I have no purpose. It's absolutely terrifying.
totally know that feeling.
So I thought, let's do St. Francis. And while I'm doing it, I'm also thinking, what the fuck am I doing? What have I done? And it's on social media. I thought if I tell everyone about it, then I have to put my money where my mouth is. But also, what have I done? So, yeah, you feel lost.
Now, your hometown's Pinola. You grew up here. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Thank you to our producer, Sam Levin. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share the podcast. Remember, you can listen to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Google Play, SoundCloud, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. For more information on my business as a property manager and real estate team, go visit my website at marcguzman.com. I really want to thank all of you for listening. It means the world to me, and I hope today's episode provides you value in your day-to-day life. I created this podcast to help showcase the many great people that live in this world and help share some knowledge that I've learned along the way in life. Again, thank you for listening. Check out our sponsors, and I'll catch you on the next episode.